Dire team banned.
Okay, hello everybody, and welcome back to SLTV Star Series Season 11. I'm Basskip here for the China group stage coverage for tonight. We've got 4 best of ones coming your way, starting off with LGD up against Speed Gaming. I'm Basskip. It's great to be here back and casting for all of you this evening, and I'm just now realizing as I get into the start of this game just how rusty I am, but I'm looking forward to doing some casting and definitely looking forward to seeing how the Chinese scene is going. Everything's been lying dormant for the last couple of weeks. Teams were busy with Dream League, of course the DreamHack Finals, and then we also made our way into the Summit. So we've had a bit of a break, I think, from Starladder coverage, or at least people have had a bit of a break from watching it. So to bring you guys up to speed, this is the group stages for the Chinese portion of the competition. LGD are currently at a 2-0 scoreline so far, so looking very good. Speed Gaming still solid, but not quite as good. 2-2 so far for them. Didn't look at exactly who they'd played so far this competition, so they could still have some easier matchups coming their way, and they may have had some more difficult losses up until this stage. Always a little bit difficult to call how these best of 1 matches are going to go, but LGD, I think at least on paper, looking like the stronger team coming into this match. Speed Gaming have had some issues here and there over the course of the last couple of weeks. Also guys, if there's any issues with sound or video, anything like that, please leave me a very quick message in chat. Some of the settings could still be tweaked, and microphone, background noise, etc, etc. So if you let me know if anything goes wrong, then I'll do my best to fix it. There is 2 minutes of delay in place on the stream, so things will not be fixed immediately, but as soon as I'm aware of it, I'll fix it up, and you guys will get that fixed 2 minutes down the line. So the one thing I was really interested to see coming into this draft is what exactly is happening in the Chinese scene at the moment, draft-wise. I feel like we did develop a little bit of a meta in between Dream League and the Summit, and the Dream League meta carried into the Summit and definitely morphed a little bit there, but the Chinese scene, like we said, it's been dormant for a little bit recently, and it'll be interesting to see exactly what they're prioritizing. And it does look like a very different picture from what we saw over the course of the Summit. Big priority picks in the Summit. We had the Elder Titan, we had the Vengeful Spirit, who is pretty much your top tier support. We were seeing quite a bit of Brewmaster, who's been popular for a number of months now, but sort of cycling in and out from time to time. So jumping into this draft, we've got Death Prophet and Tidehunter banned out by LGD, so worried about some 5-man push coming out of Speed Gaming. We've got the Batrider and the Faceless Void removed by Speed Gaming, so some pick-off potential there that they're a little bit worried about. LGD do definitely like to play some aggressive supports, run around the map, setting up kills. The weird thing I would say about their support pairing between Faith and MMY is that if you compare them to, say, FY and Fenrir on Vici Gaming, they tend not to team up as much. They'll pick very aggressive roaming supports. They'll pick the Skyrat, they'll pick the Ogre, they'll pick the Sand King, you know, whatever can go around and set up kills for their solo laners, but they tend not to do it as a pair. I have seen them from time to time running stuff like Skyrath Wisp as a support duo, just running around with a really fast Skyrath, arcane bolting people to death and setting up kills that way, but outside of that, I feel like for the most part, the 2 supports on LGD run autonomously, or they don't really seem to work together as much, and I think that's a little bit strange, and I think that's maybe why we're not seeing the performance that people are expecting out of this incredibly stacked roster. I mean, you look at the names on this team: Yao, Sylar, MMY, Faith, Injuly even to an extent, and you think, wow, this is an all-star Chinese team. These are all players who have proven themselves on the international stage, but unfortunately the performance just hasn't been up there to really guaranteed call them a top 3 Chinese team just yet. So we'll see. Maybe over the course of Starladder, maybe with a little bit more practice, things will start to gel, and we can get things going. Not every team has a honeymoon period, let's call it that, where everybody is super excited about playing with their new teammates and trying their absolute best. Some teams take a little bit longer to work into it. Jumping back to our draft, we've got LGD still looking pretty pick-off centric. They've got the Ember Spirit, they've got the Skyrath Mage, they've got some early fight, they've got some great nuking power there. And Speed Gaming, well, it looked like LGD were worried about a pushing strategy, banning at the Death Prophet, banning at the Tidehunter, but they're still going to be going straight into a push anyway. They've got the Jakiro, they've got the Lycan. Jakiro, very flexible, can be run on the off lane. They can put him down as a support on the safe lane, try and take that tier 1 tower very, very quickly, which it looks like they might be able to do at the moment. LGD running a Skywrath Mage and an Omni Knight probably as their 2 supports, not a whole lot of counter push between the 2 of them. So unless their offlaner is pretty counter pushy or pretty spammy, then I do worry a little bit for LGD, at least in the early game, getting that tower knocked down pretty quickly up on the top lane. And I think I may have misspoken calling it the bottom lane, but no, we do have Speed Gaming over on the Dire side, so safe lane's going to be up on top for them. And with that context of talking about needing a counter-pushing offlaner, I think it makes a little bit more sense to see this Elder Titan banned. I was just talking about the kind of trends that we'd been seeing in the West recently, and particularly during the Summit 2, with Elder Titan being such a prioritized pick. And I was about to say that perhaps against a Lycan, it's not so important to ban Elder Titan, because Lycan is probably the best Vlad's AC carrying hero in the game right now, especially in terms of just being able to rush it as his first 2 items and still have full impact. Lycan is very happy to go Treads, Vlad's, maybe Medallion into AC. He's got a ton of armor, he's giving his team a bunch of armor, and that really helps take the edge off of the Elder Titan, having that natural order and reducing your armor. But given that they don't want a counter pusher on the offlane, and given that they don't want to give away the combo to go with the Ember Spirit, I think banning out the Elder Titan makes a ton of sense here. So that would be my justification for that. The Medusa is also going to be banned out, somewhat interestingly. Lycan, pretty capable of buying a Necro Book, so I am a little bit surprised to see that banned out. She's a fairly slow hero, both in move speed and in terms of when she ramps up and has her peak game impact. So if you're running a kind of pushing strategy, I don't think you're too afraid of an early game Medusa. But one hero that you should be afraid of is the Brewmaster. We've heard time and time again people just saying, look, you can't push into a Brewmaster. If he gets his Blink Dagger up, if he gets going, the game is going past 25-30 minutes pretty much no matter what. The team fight strength of that hero is just absolutely ridiculous. So LGD, I think, going to be very happy to snag that for themselves here in the 4th pick. They've got an Omni Knight to back him up as well, so no real risk of jumping in and immediately being silenced, not being able to get that ultimate off. So that's a really nice safety net for LGD to have. They are just going to ban out a few more pushers here, worried about some slightly cheesy Brood Lycan combos coming in. And they will also be removing the Pugna, helps to protect their Skywrath Mage a little bit. And even the Omni Knight, pretty low mana pool, fairly high mana cost spells, often relying on every last scrap of mana that he has to be able to cast multiple purifications in the fight, as well as getting his various other abilities off. So yeah, I think the Pugna ban makes a lot of sense here. Speed Gaming, seeing the Omni Knight and the Brewmaster, are going to grab themselves a Storm Spirit. They've already got tower damage pretty much covered between Jakiro and Lycan. Now they just needed a little bit more pickoff, and I think the Storm definitely suits that bill very nicely. He is going to have to be a little bit careful about the Skywrath Mage, and unfortunately there's a lot of targets that he wants to be focusing this game. He wants to get up both an Orchid and a BKB, and he wants to really be jumping in and blowing up either the Ember Spirit or the Omni Knight. And speaking realistically, he probably has to blow up the Omni Knight no matter what. I mean, I think that's just how things have to go this game. If you jump the Ember Spirit, he's going to get heal bombed, he's going to end up being repelled. You're probably not bringing him down. You really, I think, have to focus the Omni. But Storm to farm both an Orchid and a BKB, going to need some pickoffs, going to need some solid farm. We'll need those tier 1 towers to be falling in the Lycan's favor, and those tier 1 towers might not be dropping all too quickly if this Brewmaster gets out of the early game in good shape. So we'll see what LGD are going to look to do to round out the lineup here. I do believe this is probably going to be their offlaner to wrap things up. I think Speed Gaming concur banning out that Nyx Assassin. I'm not a huge fan of support. Well, actually, I guess you have to be a fan of support Omni Knight. It's just, he's so difficult to lane. And, LGD probably going to roam the Skywrath Mage around a little bit and hopefully leave the Omni Knight to just sit and run some pulls if they can. And yeah, both teams just banning out some offlaners to round out the draft. Doom removed by LGD, and we've got the Nyx Assassin put away by Speed, but LGD looks like they're going to be bumping things around a little bit, and with 20 seconds of reserve time remaining, they will lock in a Terrorblade. This is what I think PPD was talking about during the summit as being kind of a dream draft, ever being able to get the Terrorblade past the first phase. So LGD looks like they're going to try and take a page out of that playbook and go for the TB here. So the lineup is looking pretty greedy on the whole. Omni Knight slow to get rolling as a support. Looks like Brewmaster is likely heading to the off lane, I would guess. So that probably puts the Ember on mid, where he's a tiny bit more exposed in the early game, and the Terrorblade down on the safe lane. I'm not doubting Sylar's Terrorblade abilities at all, but they've now got two very glass cannon carries that they have to get out of the early game here without the guaranteed help of the Brewmaster, and they're going to be hounded by an Axe here picked up for 7 Magic, so Speed Gaming, tons of pick-off potential for them here, and lots of really nice early game team fight. So this could get difficult for LGD. If the game drags a little bit, I think they're looking pretty good. The Terrorblade is going to be difficult for the Lycan to fight against in fights, especially with the new buffed cast range. On his ultimate, melee heroes just really can't get up in his face, so that's going to be a little bit tough on that front, but I don't know. I do think LGD have made their game a little bit more difficult here. They could have just gone for something semi-carry-ish in the off lane, but looks like perhaps not going to be the case today. So jumping ourselves into this game, welcome back to Star Series 11 China group stages. We've got LGD versus Speed. First game for tonight. We've got 4 best of 1s coming your way. And very quickly introducing our LGD side, we have Injuly on this Brewmaster, making his way up towards what looks like top lane right now. We've got Sylar on the Terrorblade, interestingly enough, pooled with the Poor Man's Shield. Looks like he's going to be heading towards mid. Faith will be your Omni Knight support. We have MMY on the Skywrath Mage, and Yao finally is going to be handling the safe lane Ember Spirit. Meanwhile, over on Speed Gaming, we have 7 Magic on Axe. We've got YFTX on the Jakiro. We've got Chao Yu on the Lycan. We've got Piao on the Storm Spirit, heading up towards the safe lane. So, appreciating that he does need some very solid farm this game. Again, probably Orchid BKB or Bloodstone BKB, so gonna try and prioritize him as much as possible. And finally, on the Ogre, sporting a very spiffy cloak, we have Melody Lovers. So wards have already pretty much all been placed down at the start of the game. The battle for the 0-minute rune will begin. MMY just checking out that nobody is sneaking over in the Roshan pit. We've got the Radiant Courier out in the middle of nowhere here. Injuly is going to be able to snag the regen rune. Melody Lovers just needed one more swipe at the club to be able to get that kill, but will not get it at the end of the day. I wonder if he actually rolled a little bit low, because the Courier does take extra damage from melee heroes now, from what I understand, so... Or that might just be the Flying Courier, but yeah, Ogre, not quite enough to get it there. I wonder if he'd had the Howl, maybe he would have been able to. Just gonna come in, throw out some harass on Injuly. He's got that Ogre base regen going, so just doesn't really care too much about trading hits here. Injuly kind of realizing that he's in a bad spot. Actually ends up going for the Drunken Brawler, just trying to increase his ability to trade hits with the Ogre, but yeah, there's no way that that's happening. This guy is just too much of a beefcake in the early game. Mid lane block goes the way of Chao Yu at the start. Sylar's just going to pop off that Metamorphosis and try and establish dominance here on the first wave. So it does end up being an off-lane Jakiro, as Axe is just going to make his way over into the jungle, try and snag that Blink Dagger relatively quickly. So all things considered, I think Speed Gaming have to be pretty happy with the early game. I think the Lycan's still going to get some alright farm on mid now that the Metamorphosis is over, and he's even 5-2 to begin with. The Jakiro is going to get his levels on the off lane. The Axe, assuming that he doesn't get too unlucky, should get his Blink Dagger in the jungle, and that's pretty much all the ingredients that they need to start pressuring things. As much as the Skywrath Mage would like to move around here in the early game, I don't think he has too many targets that he can gank successfully. And again, as we touched on during the draft, the Omni Knight is not really a hero that he can move around with, and Terrorblade isn't really a lane that you can gank for. Unless the Terrorblade perhaps has a point up in Reflection. So I do worry a little bit for this Skywrath Mage, at least in the early game. He's still always going to be great with Ancient Seal up against the Storm Spirit. Even having an instant silence against Axe is always really nice to have. So 7 Magic still just jungling up. Sylar gonna grab himself a Bassi over here on middle lane. In July, already chewing through a lot of regen pretty quickly. Is gonna look for the side pull, but Melody Lovers realizing what's going on, just gonna steal that right on back, keep the lane equilibrium right where he wants it. Meanwhile, bottom lane has actually pulled up underneath the Jakiro's tower, so level 2 or 3 coming his way before too long. Looks like LGD maybe losing control of their pulls just a little bit, though as quickly as I say that, it's right back underneath the LGD tower, so maybe I shouldn't be doubting MMY and Faith as support players. And another quick check-in on the middle lane. We've actually got Dire Heroes leading the top 3 CS right now, though Axe being up there can be a little bit deceptive. Level 4 and almost level 4.5, 3 minutes into the game. Tranquil Boots on their way, so he's doing pretty well for himself so far. Looks like maybe he got some higher experience camps, but lower on the value side. Often when you're heading back, you can sometimes pick up your Tranquil Boots if you get a little bit lucky, but he's got the levels to kind of compensate for it, so higher levels in spin definitely going to be helping out there. Lycan actually ducking away from the middle lane to grab a couple of creeps in the jungle. I don't know if this is the best decision. He's already missed 1 creep from the next wave. Looks like he may end up losing 2, perhaps. This next one to the tower, he's swinging in just in time. Okay, looks like it's just going to be the 1 creep. Maybe worth it overall to duck into the jungle like that. And not too much of a hindrance for the Axe either, since it is going to respawn around the 4-minute mark. Speaking of the 4-minute mark, we've got runes coming up, so Melody Lovers camp in the top side. That's going to be a bounty rune there. MMY actually smoked up. Camping out the regen rune, does get a quick eye on it. Sylar, despite not having a bottle, looks like he might still want to come down and grab that one. Storm Spirit, early game build out of him is going to be a Bassi. Actually just turning on the Bassi and slamming it straight into the tower, getting some early damage out of these 2 range creeps and the siege creep. So still a pretty quiet early game overall, to be expected when you've got an Omni Knight on one side and a jungling Axe over on the other. Looks like those Tranquil Boots are going to be coming out before too long. The Jakiro, however, all the way out by the shop on the bottom lane. Looks like he's going to be your first blood, and that one will be snagged by Yao. Nice and easy there. And nothing else really happening elsewhere. He does have a ward off to the side here, but looks like MMY perhaps still smoked or able to sneak his way up the river, got the concussive shut off, and once that launched, that was pretty much game over. Got the Ogre attempting a gank on mid lane. There is level 6 up on this Lycan. Ogre turns the corner. He's got both spells. That Lycan ultimate's going to be popping off, but they've got the Omni Knight TP at the ready. Faith anticipating this gank after the Ogre left the top lane and was more than prepared to jump in and bomb a heal. So it just ends up being a little bit of a wasted ult for the Lycan. And Faith gonna hammer that point home in more ways than one. Drops the Purification on the creep wave. Just gets some harassment there right on the snout. Meanwhile, MMY actually coming out to place another batch of wards pretty early on. This lane ward down bottom still doing work. The first ward of that second set having already been placed over on mid lane just to try and keep the Terrorblade safe. Likely from Storm Spirit ganks or the potential Axe Blink Dagger, which is coming up in the next couple of minutes. We'll see how 7 Magic does in the jungle, just keeping an eye on him. Probably needs to pull that right now if he wants to stack it, but looks like he'd prefer to keep the Tranquil regen going, so no stack for him. Meanwhile, Piao, he's actually got a bottle up, gonna come down and grab that haste. So double rune for Speed Gaming as we pass the 6-minute mark. Net worth starting to look a little bit more even. Overall trend is actually Radiant favored in both gold and experience right now, despite 3 of the top 5 being occupied by Speed. That's just the difference between jungling and laning, really. And I thought this offlane Brewmaster wasn't going to get guaranteed farm at all, but the Ogre has chosen not to pressure him, so it looks like he's still going to have his Blink Dagger in pretty reasonable time, unless he dies to this Axe gank right now. He's got the Skywrath Mage sitting behind him, but I don't know if that's going to be enough. In July, stunned up, just needs to get the Primal Split off, can't go down, will get chopped. That finishes him off. Piao actually with the haste rune, considering the dive onto MMY, is going to go for it. Axe tanks those first couple of tower shots, so the jump can come past the tower In comes the stun, another right click from the Storm. That's going to finish the kill. Yao, level 6, looking for a bit of a turnaround here. Drops all 3 remnants. Wants the kill on 7 Magic, who just drops the call. Tries to TP out. Last auto attack from Yao. Finishes the kill. Thankfully he had those phase boots up there. Otherwise I don't think he would have got it. So nicely done by him. And they do manage to get at least a little bit of a turnaround. Fight recap, unfortunately, not too helpful with giving us the full information on what happened there. So 2 for 2 on the board so far. Faith getting some really good levels on mid, definitely helpful when you're playing Omni Knight. Unfortunately, Injala ends up going down on the off lane, so stalls the Blink Dagger just a little bit, but the crucial Blink Dagger for Speed Gaming also stalled by that death. So I think call things relatively even after all is said and done. Sylar has now made his way down towards the bottom lane. He might actually hand bottom lane over before too long as well and just start jungling up. The Ember Spirit is also actually a very capable jungler in his own right, so expect LGD to probably be making better use of the map overall here. Lycan has picked himself up an early Medallion of Courage, so Vlad's probably to follow before too long. Could see an early sneaky Roshan out of him. And is there anybody who really needs to catch up on levels? No. Often the big trick with having a fast Roshan in the early game is that you can, say if your Ogre was underleveled at this stage, say your Ogre was level 3 or you had, you know, a level 3 or 4 support 8 minutes into the game, you can bring them along for Roshan and just have them wait outside an experience range and kind of catch them back up. But Speed Gaming are doing just fine. And I talked about an early tier 1 tower going down on the safe lane with this Jakiro and the Lycan, but it's actually going to be LGD who strike first. Metamorphosis popped on bottom lane, tier 1 already down. We've got that refreshed glyph up for speed, so I don't think the tier 2 should fall unless they choose to go for another tier 2 as well. So I've already got the dire glyph having been used. Metamorphosis still up for a couple more seconds, won't be able to get one more illusion out, unfortunately. And now the rotation comes in from LGD. Yao looking to hold the line along with Injali. They make their way in. Frontline TP from Faith, not the best hero to come in, but they don't have the best catch anyway until this Brewmaster gets his blink, so I think they came off a little bit better on the damage trade, yeah, just slightly ahead overall, and back to farming stations it'll be for them. Sylar, I wonder what kind of build we'll be seeing out of him. Personally, I am not a fan of Radiance at all. I've had this discussion with multiple people, and some people have convinced me slightly that Radiance Terrorblade is occasionally the right build, but personally I think that's less than 10% of the time, and I think this is definitely not a Radiance game for the TB here. I'm hoping to see just Manta, Scotty, Butterfly, etc., tank up, get a lot of split push going, because I don't think they can afford to wait around for a Radiance and the farm afterwards. We've already got Speed Gaming just coming in. There's 3 heroes sitting here behind the tier 1 tower, but they're unable to stop the tier 1 going down, and that's going to be another last hit, or perhaps the first last hit going the way of the Lycan. Axe ends up dying in the jungle, gets greedy to finish up his Blink Dagger, and actually leaves his Tranquil Boots behind. So, yeah, he's going to feel a little bit stupid about that one. Also ended up losing 240 gold, so that would have been his blink had he not died trying to clear that out. Should still be able to come out and finish it up, and he's got the Tranquils on the couriers, so I think he'll be okay, but that was definitely not what he was hoping for there. Metamorphosis popped by the Terrorblade on mid, but the Jakiro Macropyre is going to stall things out here a little bit. Another Howl for bottom lane, but we've got Yao coming in from the side, along with MMY. They're going to clean up the Jakiro first, and this repelled Ember Spirit knows no fear, does reconsider the tier 2 dive, just comes back to finish up the tier 1, as we do have another tier 1 for tier 1 trade. Bottom lane also falling, and that last hit claimed once again by the Lycan. So what have we got? We've got this Blink Dagger finally picked up for Axe. An immediate smoke out. They're looking for the Metamorphosis Terrorblade. Jump in from the Storm Spirit. Faith, is he ready to counter-initiate? He's actually got the Guardian Angel at level 7, so auto attacks not doing a whole lot. Melody Lovers still has the stun, brings it out with the multicast. Sylar's slow, but Yao jumps in with the 2 hero searing chains, and now the jump along with the split from the Brewmaster brings down one. MMY falling to the wolves. Looks like he will end up going down as Jakiro rejoins this fight. 7 Magic trying to fight his way through, but the dunk will be denied. Yao, a little bit too healthy. The boulder comes out onto the Lycan. He will also fall, and they manage to lift the Jakiro up into the air. There isn't a clap left on In July, but they've still got the crit. TP out attempted. Yao, no mana for a Searing Chains. Won't be able to cancel that one, but the overall fight, I think, definitely going LGD's way as they bring down 4 for 2. Yeah, was that? Yep, 4 for 2 the exchange. They end up with 1,400 gold. Speed Gaming lose 170. Experience change 3.4k in LGD's favor. That was definitely not the fight that Speed Gaming were looking for to unveil this Blink Dagger on the Axe. And Axe as a hero is surprisingly momentum based. If he doesn't start getting good levels early on, he doesn't get the strength growth that he needs to tank up and survive through the fights, doesn't get the item progression that he needs to continuously chop people down, and he can honestly start feeling a little bit lackluster. Not to the same degree, perhaps, that an Enchantress can fall off with a bad early game, but yeah, that was definitely a stumbling block for 7 Magic, and too many more of those and he could just be off track for the rest of the game. Speed are going to go for that recovery Roshan. They've got their Vlads up. They've got that Medallion of Courage working for them as well, but it's LGD charging in here with the smoke. They don't have the Primal Split, but they've got a 3-hero clap opportunity coming up. Roshan, fortunately, has already fallen. Out comes the Searing Chains. Looks like Jakiro gets blown up before he can do anything. Piao, he's got the Aegis, but he's just trying to get out, regenning up a little bit off the bottle. Chaoyu left behind. He will be dropped. We've got an aggressive jump in from the Storm Spirit. Was trying to grab the Omni Knight on the back lines, but Sylar knocks him back. That's going to be 3 kills going LGD's way. They're looking for a 4th in July. Blink still cooling down for another 8 seconds, but it's a hasted Yao who eludes the charge right on top of the Ogre. There's the chains, the clap, the heal. Everything but the kitchen sink for LGD as they claim a double for Yao. 4 for nothing in the pit, and despite Speed Gaming getting out of there with the Aegis, things are starting to snowball a little bit out of control for them. We did dip down briefly to their favor, both experience and gold-wise, while they were taking all of those towers, but now that team fights have started to break out, LGD are really cementing their lead. It's going to be another tower going down in favor of the Terrorblade. Looks like Sylar not going for the Radiance build. Basskip approved. It's just going to be going straight in towards the Manta this game, it seems. And looking over at the Storm Spirit's inventory, that makes just a little bit more sense, as we do have this Orchid coming along. I want to say nicely, but it's not really all that nicely, given that he was a safe lane Storm. Does he have any more components on the Courier? No. I guess he can disassemble his Bassi to almost grab the second Oblivion Staff. They've got a big jump in on top of Yao, but he's got a Remnant waiting up on top lane, so just jumps straight to that, and there's a heal waiting for him at the ready from Faith. Speed Gaming actually just stuck in no man's land. They can't make it to top lane in time to defend the tier 1. There's no tier 1 to take on middle lane, so free tower for Sylar. The Terrorblade will continue to grow, and that is almost a 16-minute Manta style up at the ready for him. Looks like we've got some let's see if I can do something about the chat spam, guys. Why do we not have any mods? Okay, hopefully that'll do it for now. I gotta pay attention to the game, guys, unfortunately. So there you go. Anyway, so we had Jakiro TPing out just over here. LGD are still looting pretty catastrophically. We've got that Manta style completed for the Terrorblade. Lycan looks like he's just working on an armlet for the time being. 7 Magic still trying to get towards his second item for the game. Does have his level 11 now up, so the rank 2 dunk at the ready, but still haven't really seen too much action out of this Axe just yet. Meanwhile, offlane Jakiro just trying to catch up a little bit further on the top lane. Urn Wand and the beginnings of a Yule's up for him. Personally, I don't know if you need to complete Magic Wand on Jakiro. I think Stick is often enough, and you don't even need to buy 3 branches in the early game because you're kind of tanky enough. So it's a very minor grievance, but it's something that's worth pointing out. Sometimes you have to think whether or not you actually need the wand. Though there is a lot of spam coming out of this guy right mage. And LGD, well, will once again push down this bottom lane. I think the Aegis was already used up by the Storm Spirit, maybe while I was dealing with that chat nonsense. Meanwhile, Axe looking for the Radiant Courier. Is he going to dunk it? Actually cancels the dunk. Not going to get it in the end. So 7 Magic just wasting a bunch of time and not defending this bottom lane push. Metamorphosis still up for a very long time, so the Illusion Siege is going to begin. Repelled Terrorblade banging at your door. Storm Spirit doing his best to split push, but Speed Gaming really wish that was the Lycan out on the lane and keeping things pressured. I don't know why Lycan isn't right down mid at the moment and trying to keep the lanes out, but looks like LGD are going to back off. Maybe the smoke to try and catch somebody as they come out to farm here. Injuly is actually going to stick around and grab a little bit more. The rest of LGD just backing off. So, not willing to give away too much more health on this tier 2 tower on the top side.
Structures are fortified.
What do we have ward-wise? We've got some really nice deep wards coming out of LGD, spotting every rotation out of the Speed Gaming side of the map. Some nice wards for Speed as well, but it does go to show that they don't have nearly the same control over the map, and they are emphasizing Roshan quite a bit. Potential respawn only coming up in about 3 minutes, and it looks like we're only going to be 40 seconds into the next block, as our lovely digital timer will pop up right as I say that. The one thing that Speed do have going for them is the Lycan Wolves scouting things out and keeping an eye on these LGD supports, so that's going to lead them into a 4-hero smoke gank, and let's see how this one goes. Call comes out, they've grabbed onto 2, Searing Chains trying to disengage, 7 Magic silenced up, out comes the heal along with the Mystic Flare. Big roll in from Piao is going to finish off that kill, looking for more, still about a third mana remaining, and Speed Gaming, big smoke comes out, and they will end up grabbing the 2 support kills there. So yeah, wards pay off, Lycan Wolf scouting pays off, and Speed do manage to curb the net worth and the experience a little bit back to more manageable territory. They've got this Orchid up on the Storm Spirit so he can start moving around and enforcing pickoffs, and LGD not really looking to 5-man just yet. They do have the Metamorphosis coming off cooldown in just a second, so that might be their opportunity to go, especially if they can find a pickoff somewhere along the way. And it's now up to Speed Gaming to just get these lanes out as far as they possibly can and try and keep LGD split up so that the pickoff power of the Axe and the Storm Spirit can continue to do exactly what it needs to do right now, which is, well, not really delay the game, but prevent LGD from clumping up and sieging towers with the Metamorphosis repelled Terrorblade. And Faith almost has a 4-staff. We've got a Vlad's up for the Brewmaster. Pretty standard build. Everyone's pretty much been going for auras these days. And well, not much else. LGD hoping that Roshan's already respawned, though potential respawn is only in about a minute's time. So it looks like the call has already been made to try and get control over Rosh and get the Aegis in hand. There's still a tier 2 tower remaining up in the top lane, but given that they've got mid tier 2 and bot tier 2 already down, they can probably just get the Aegis and go and siege. So that Roshan's going to be a pretty big deal for both teams. We're going to jump in on top lane. Yao just getting crit down. Orchid getting put to use by Piao. And Lycan more than happy to pop off his ultimate to grab that kill. That's 40 seconds of farming time for them, and 40 seconds to get these lanes out in a more reasonable position. Axe is just working on a BKB for the time being. I think a fine pickup. There's plenty of physical damage to tank, especially coming out of the Terrorblade, and adding lots of magic on top of that is just going to be his death. So I think it makes a lot of sense. You just see the straight up BKB from him. Meanwhile, Storm Spirit looks like it will not be your BKB. Looks like perhaps a Lincoln Sphere coming out has already picked up a Perseverance. And meanwhile, Jakiro still plodding towards that Yule's, though farm perhaps not where he'd like it to be so far this game. Axe has been Axe and Lycan, along with the Storm Spirit, are going to be taking a lot of the jungle, so it kind of falls to Jakiro to unfortunately take some more of the dangerous farm out around the map. And he's doing the right thing. He's coming down to bottom lane. He's trying to get a sense of where LGD's heroes are. Gonna throw out a Macropyre, get this lane pushed out, and hopefully get some TPs down bot where the Ogre, the Storm Spirit, whoever's in the neighborhood can go for those pickoffs. LGD being very smart, not showing too many heroes on this top side. Everyone just sitting behind Sylar for the moment. And yeah, Metamorphosis popped off. LGD just going to continue sieging for some towers. So it looks like this time around, Speed Gaming have put themselves in a better position to maybe get a trade. We've got the Lycan on mid. We've got multiple heroes down bottom lane, including the Jakiro. So tier 2 for tier 2 goes out, but LGD looks like they want to stake their claim and push things that little bit further. Lycan's still working away over at mid. We've got the repelled Terrorblade making his way up onto the high ground on the top lane. Macropyre still cooling down for 16. Jakiro will do his best to hold the line. That max dual breath coming into play now, as it does help slow down some creep attacks, along with the illusions. Illusions are being cleared out. The repel comes out on the Sylar. 7 magic, not doing too much. He jumped in with his BKB. This is going to force an engagement with the silence onto the Storm Spirit. Will be bursted down by the Mystic Flare. Faith's still alive. Charging forward, he's got the Guardian Angel ready to go for his team. The tier 3 is already down. Axe forced back to the fountain. I think he's actually just spinning up in the air. Nope, that's the Jakiro. Sylar going to work. Another lift out of the Storm Panda. Jakiro completely controlled this fight, and LGD, easy lane of racks for them. There's some illusions on bottom lane, almost bringing down the tier 3, but LGD want more. Coming out on the mid lane, got the Searing Chains coming out on the Jakiro. Ice Path holds the line a little bit longer, but Speed Gaming, what can they do? Still no Storm Spirit alive, but Axe has to jump in. He's going straight for Yao. The silence comes out, prevents the dunk. There's the silence. Well, there's the heal along with the GA. Keeps Yao up at full HP. They bring down the Axe. Multicast from Melody Lovers will not be enough to drive back the Horde. LGD still going for this melee barracks. Jakiro doing his best. What can he get out here? He's got the Yule Scepter finally completed and delivered, but melee barracks already down. 4 staff on Injuly. Gets him out of that base, and looks like everyone in LGD is going to be getting out of here safely. Storm Spirit completely off the mark on the retreat there. Zips out from the respawn, but won't be able to grab anyone, and LGD 2 easy lanes of racks, minus the ranged racks on mid lane, but I don't think they care about that in the slightest. Hardly any heroes traded at the after all is said and done, but yeah, the damage has been dealt. Roshan, however, has respawned, so at least some brief hope for Speed Gaming there, as they do manage to grab that one. And this is where you wonder if the Lycan could have perhaps stayed mid lane or rotated down to bottom lane and forced LGD into a more difficult decision. Because before all that happened, just to recap, so we had Lycan pushing mid, we had 4 heroes pushing bot, at the same time 5 heroes were pushing top lane. And Speed Gaming chose to back everybody off and just leave some Storm Spirit illusions, and I think the Storm Spirit pushing bottom lane. Faith getting jumped here by Piao. We've got an Ice Path coming out as well. Is the Soul Burn damage going to be enough to finish him off? It's not even a question, but here comes the counter initiation from LGD. They silence up the Storm Spirit. They bring him down. The Scotty will not slow the Wolf as he chops through over onto MMY. Immediate buyback from Faith. The Primal Split's been used, and now it just remains for Speed Gaming to try and get out of here. They do end up losing the Lycan at the end of the day, as Yao does manage to jump in there and finish him off. Fire Panda still chasing off to the side. They do grab the Ogre, and there's the lift. Looks like Jakiro going to be in some trouble. Tries for the TP out. Will the crits be enough? 1 auto attack from Sylar seals the deal. 3 for 2 the exchange, along with a buyback from Faith. And this should be LGD charging down bottom lane, looking for maybe just the tier 3 tower. What do we got on Speed? We've got an Axe who needs to back off and heal up, but he does have BKB. We've got the Lincoln Sphere completed on the Storm Spirit. MMY is still all the way over at mid lane. But while I'm saying all of this, the tier 3 tower is actually already losing health, and we still have Metamorphosis Terrorblade illusions going to work. So tier 3 is down. Buyback from Jakiro. Starladder, no Metamorphosis. He doesn't care. Gets called up, but can they burst anybody down? They're looking for Faith. They've got the silence. They need the burst damage. Can they finish him off? Soul Burn, not quite enough. There's the heal along with the repel. He's still alive. Out comes the Guardian Angel. Sylar not caught by that one, but he's still got the Sunder. Looking for a good target. He finds it right before the multicast. In comes the Lycan. He gets bursted down by the Mystic Flare, and that's your GG. MMY gets the double kill. Mega Creeps on the way, but LGD will improve their score. 3-0 so far in the groups. They're going to send Speed packing down to 2-3, and that is going to wrap it up for our first game of, well, not for our first game, but our first best of one for the evening for Star Series 11 China group. So thanks guys for tuning in. We'll be back before too long with our next matchup, which is going to be IG versus Lai, which should be a good one. Actually, both teams pretty close to the bottom right now, 6th and 8th respectively. IG, in fairness, only 0-1 at the moment, so yeah, still plenty of room for them to climb from here. So thank you very much for tuning in. Like I said, we'll be back pretty soon with your next match. Don't go anywhere. Hope you've enjoyed it so far, and more great games coming your way before too long.